Like as you all know, Germany, especially the region between Stuttgart, Munich, and also Karlsruhe, is well known for deep tech startups. We also see in Germany more and more well-funded deep tech startup rounds. One example, the latest round in Scilab, 55 million round, the biggest round ever we had for a recycling company in Germany, or like in entire Europe. And this is exactly where we would like to jump in with our panel discussions in the next 15 minutes to talk exactly about this intersection of mobility and deep tech. Yes, and therefore I welcome to stage Johannes from partner at Earlybird, as well as Felix, founder and partner at Assembly Ventures, Ori, partner at Mobility Tech Capital, as well as Lorenzo from MetaWeb. Please come to stage. Welcome. My first question goes to you, Johannes. Like, what kind of exciting deep tech rounds did you see the last months?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it works. That's good. So yeah, when it comes to size, there's two that come to my mind. And deep tech, there was a round in France, Vercor they're called. They're doing green batteries or low carbon batteries. They raised 1.3 or 1.2 or something like this. And they're now setting up a factory in France that they are able to produce 300,000 or battery cells for 300,000 electric cars. That's a round that comes to my mind. Really large round in Europe.
Yes, battery is today a very big topic. How is it for the other? Like, what kind of rounds was for you exciting the last months?
Maybe I come in here really first with a round we've recently done in the US, a company called Metropolis. What do they do? Think about an Uberized experience for parking. So it's AI computer vision on the gate. Automatically, gate goes up, and you do your stuff. You go out, and at the end of the month, you get your credit card bill. Why is this exciting, and what happened in the US? This startup, 600 people, acquired a listed company and basically bought out the entire company in the US, over $1 billion. So paradigm shift here. Normally, the big one buys the little one. But here in this case, a deep tech startup with enough firepower and capital buys a company, 22,000 people. So 600 people are integrated in now 22,000 people. Just think about that, what that could mean in the future for future deals. So I found that super exciting to share.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here, and thank you for having us. I'm here with the Israeli flag, so I think two interesting deals. One was Halo raising $120 million, which are building the next-gen processors and basically going to compete with NVIDIA. And the other one was when I talked to Felix, and I hope he joins us on this round, is Kapow. They do wireless charging for autonomous robots on production lines. So today, everything is going through automation, and they'll be able to make sure that you have 100% uptime.
Yeah, I've got it. Thank you. I think to complete the round, and without probably giving one more to the list, I think we should focus a little bit more on exits rather than rounds, no? Because ultimately we often forget that rounds, are very nice to increase the book value, but they're not really value deliveries, no? So I wish. No, I'm not an M&A guy, but it's VC perspective. I think we should focus much more on the exit announcements, which mean that not only the VCs have their returns, but also the products are real. They're in the market, they're in the industrial setups. So let me not answer to your question and encourage you to look at exits more than financing rounds.
Perfect. Yeah, which kind of exciting exits maybe to the rest of the group?
That's a thing. That's a thing. I think exits are much more scarce, as we know, and and then let me clarify. No, of course, financing rounds are super important, no, and are a sign of health. But also, I think we should shy away from the view that deep tech or mobility innovation in mobility is 4 years old and there's only financing rounds. No, I think there are. I mean, this sector has been innovating and investing in the past 50 years, and there are companies that have been invested 10 years ago by VCs. Maybe they didn't call it deep tech, and the financing environment is such that it's hard to capitalize. And so I'm waiting for good exits. I think there are some to come, and I'm really looking forward for that to spur further. I don't know if you have some examples to share.
Maybe I would add I think we're still early in the cycle. So if you think about cycles, we had a huge 20, 30-year B2C cycle. Everything shifted to B2B. I think most VCs here nowadays do B2B SaaS. That started around the 2015 timeline eventually. And all of a sudden, deep tech is pretty exciting for obvious reasons. But I do think that started roughly 5, 7 years ago in Israel, way earlier, I'd say. But it takes time to build this cycle, and not to mention that as well. We went through COVID and many other things to deal with. So my expectation is exits will come, and most likely it will take another 2-3 years, but we will see some exciting ones.
The most exciting one we saw was Intel buying Mobileye for $15.3 billion. So that's a good deep tech exit, I think, and something we should all inspire to.
Yeah, great. If you now look more in the direction of, or like in the intersection of mobility and deep tech, are there any, like we see more and more exciting startups here? For example, I mentioned Scilib with battery recycling, but also advanced manufacturing, advanced engineering, electrification, charging, robotics. There's happening so much. Is there any specific field you're particularly interested in the intersection of mobility and deep tech?
So I'll start. The past few months, I've been nerding out on materials and really trying to explore what are going to be the future materials as components in the vehicle. I think there's a tough competition between the new types of new polymers and everything that's going to be recycled and reused, and the whole circular economy aspiration. But I think advanced materials is something that was very much university research, and now it's coming into commercialization, and I think it's the most exciting deep tech topic of the era now.
Well, we look at mobility from a geopolitical lens, and what does that mean? I think people still do underestimate how far-reaching consequences decoupling has. We think we're at the very beginning still for a 20, 30-year cycle potentially. And if you think through your entire value chain in mobility, what does it mean? What does it mean for materials? What does it mean for energy? What does it mean for labor? So we think around these questions. Definitely, let's take materials, right? What will happen if we don't even have to ask this question? But materials are scarce, so let's think about recycling. Recycling in the car industry is not an easy task. Try to recycle or sort aluminium. You start with such a challenge. Today, in today's world, by the way, most of the aluminium gets shredded. The car gets shredded. You take out the aluminium. You sort it in China manually. One of our startups in the portfolio, Sortera, US-based, found or developed a technology which is computer vision on the belt, so you can basically sort aluminium 10 times faster than manual, and keep the resources on shore. So again, like for us, it's like really thinking critically around the geopolitical angle and what does it mean for future mobility.
Yes, one of the fields where I'm really fascinated about right now is robotics and AI, this interface. I mean, automation is always driving the automotive industry. It's really relevant. And with more and more AI capabilities. There's really interesting startups coming up in this intersection. And generally speaking, I would say robotic startups kind of struggle with scalability because they somehow are stuck, or rather stuck with projects and the different robot manufacturers they have to somehow integrate into at a certain level. And this, I think, really opens up new opportunities in this space where you can also build larger startups because of the scalability topic.
Well, I think that I mean, the mobility sector is so broad, and the scale of change is so huge that it's very hard to actually understand what topic, for me at least, what topics are more interesting than others. I can name tens of cool things that can change the world. The challenge that I take more on myself is to find then the VC cases, no? So those that can scale, as you said, fast enough to be in the boundaries of our constraints, no? And that's a much harder question, I think, for us to solve. So far, we have invested in sustainable fuels, so production of green gas from CO2 and hydrogen, where we believe there is a business case, a VC case, and in the software, the integration layer for the automotive sector. But again, these are just two examples that we found. The intersection of VC cases with mobility is the challenge. So again, I mean, if you have some suggestions, I'm happy to hear, especially on this second part now, because again, cool topics are there in plenitude, no? Finding what suits us is the challenge, no?
Quickly adding here how we look at that challenge. We've written a mobility white paper a couple of years ago. We called it Mobility 4.0. What does it mean? We're looking at mobility vertically, and we call it ISA, from bottom up: infrastructure, systems, applications. So if you think about the business models that scaled very fast in the last couple of years, most of them were on the application layer. That's the business model layer, say Uber, right? In order to win there, you want to be a monopoly. Wrong word. Nobody can say that, so you shouldn't be. But in the end, Uber is dominating the market. A couple of years ago, they charged 7% the driver. Today, they're charging 50% the driver. Would there be a lot of options? Well, guess what? So what I mean with that is, if you want to change the industry and you come through deep tech, and that the game changer could be self-driving, where do you start? Most probably, Uber could go downwards. Well, they sold their company, the autonomous unit. So you can go bottom up as well. That means thinking either through systems or infrastructure and scale the way up. Who will do that, or who's doing that currently, is Waymo. So if you win on two of these levels, you can defend your business over time. If you're just on one of these levels, competition comes in, and that is normally not what you want. So if you want to think about how deep tech can change an entire industry, you have to target at least two of these levels to make a very successful and sustainable business.
Perfect. This also goes directly in the direction of my next question. Before we wrap up the panel, do you have any final thoughts or takeaways for the audience? What makes the investment case particularly exciting or interesting for you? Yeah, please.
Question is always, how big is the problem? Is it a huge problem? Does it change the world if you solve it? Number one. Number two, and who are the people behind it? And really have long conversations with those people. Because those are the people you as an investor will stick around for 10 plus years. So you want to understand them exactly what drives them, what is their motivation, what's their belief system, not from a religious point of view, but how do they see the world and why are they doing what they're doing. So these are the two critical factors in our point of view.
And Ollie, if you're especially looking into deep tech, like, is there anything which excites you, like which makes the investment case exciting?
Yeah, I think the thing that most excites us about deep tech is that when you create a deep tech technology, it's something that brings a very unique IP to the table. We are less to invest in marketplaces and in things that could be easily replicated. You know, if you see an interesting business model and you can replicate it very fast, for us, it's something we would shy away from. We look for very unique IP, very unique solutions. We invested in solar paint, in energy harvesting, in like science fiction of reading the brain through your steering wheel. So really things that have a very deep and unique understanding, because in the end, because of the long cycles in automotive, yes, you can be first comer, but as a startup, it's a bit harder to be first comer to the market. So bringing that uniqueness is what makes us most excited in deep tech investments.
Yeah, Oli, I would like to add one point. So if you think about deep tech startups in the sense of hardware startups, most people would say, yeah, that's too risky for me or just too risky. I would argue that's also a different risk profile. And if you want to build a resilient portfolio from a venture perspective, it also makes sense maybe to have a mixture of software and hardware startups. And the good thing, for example, about hardware startups would be you don't have the problem of product market fit. What's one of the main challenges if you have a software solution? For example, we are invested into Greenlight Carbon Technologies. They are developing carbon capture solutions. If they really achieve a price point of 70 euros per ton CO2, it's totally clear that people will buy it. You also mentioned this example of SAF, so sustainable aviation fuels. From next year on, 2% of the fuel in the European Union has to be SAF. There's no solution in the market there. So if you are a hardware startup or deep tech startup delivering something in this field, it's pretty clear that you don't have to care about product market fit.
Yeah, but also what you said up before about AI is deep tech. So you can do software that has very deep algorithms and neural languages that are very unique to your solution. And for us, it's totally deep tech as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have to come to an end, but Lorenzi, the last words are your words.
Oh, thank you. I agree with most of the things you said. IP, strong team, market potential. I think, to me, very important, capital efficiency, capital efficiency, capital efficiency. Just maybe a general comment to the startups in the room. I think it's most important that you understand when you raise the promises that the VCs you talk to make to their LPs, because that drives a lot their investment strategy. You know, some people promise something, and I'm not talking mostly about financial returns. No, it's also the storytelling, the kind of expectations that they build, and that drives, in my opinion, the differences between also the people you talk to. And it's very important to know these things, because ultimately these are the constraints and also the values, no, that the people you talk to have. And unless you do that, you will not understand what they look for.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have now to come to an end, but thank you so much to all panelists. Thank you for sharing your insights. And what I also really like is that over the time, more and more people joined our conversations. You also really like our conversation. Now I have to give up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.